He was known as the weakest hunter in history, but everything changed after a raid. He accidentally awakened a god-tier system that allowed him to evolve infinitely by completing tasks, aiming to become the strongest being. Over a decade ago, portals to another dimension appeared on Earth. To combat the monsters, some humans awakened powers and became hunters. Cheng Xiaoyu, our protagonist, was the lowest level among them. Despite his efforts, he could never grow stronger. On a routine raid, due to his frail body and lack of strength, his teammates mocked him as the weakest human weapon. Any mission he was part of was considered low difficulty. Even whispered insults were heard by Cheng. Old Jin's harsh truths were undeniable. Suddenly, a girl, Xiao Shi, confronted Cheng about the injuries on his face. Cheng blamed his own weakness. As it was time to enter the portal, Old Song, the highest ranked in the team, naturally took the lead. Cheng, with his meager finances, could only afford a low-quality dagger. He managed to obtain a low-grade magic stone, but a cunning goblin ambushed him, breaking his only weapon and stabbing him in the abdomen. Old Park came to his aid, and fortunately, Xiao Shi, a B-grade healer, was worried about Cheng's reckless fighting style, fearing it would lead to disaster. After the healing, the remaining monsters were defeated by Old Song and the others, but Cheng's only loot was a low-grade magic stone. Then, a secret passage was discovered. Old Song had heard of double-layered dungeons but never encountered one. Reluctant to report this find to the Hunter Association and share the loot, he suggested a vote on whether to proceed. The vote tied, leading Cheng's decision to determine their next move. Despite the risks, Cheng had to continue. His father was missing, his mother was sick and hospitalized, requiring a large sum of money, and his sister was about to finish high school. The family's burdens fell on Cheng's shoulders. Upon entering, they found no monsters, only statues in various shapes. A stone tablet inscribed with ancient text stated the temple's rules: worship, praise, and prove your faith. Xiao Shi noticed the statue's eyes seemed to move. As she spoke, the stone door behind them suddenly closed. One teammate, already against entering the temple, tried to leave but was decapitated by a statue. Cheng initially thought this was just another dungeon, but even strong hunters were instantly killed. He yelled for everyone to get down as the statues fired lasers, melting everything in their path. He managed to save Xiao Shi by tackling her to the ground, narrowly avoiding disaster. The statue's smile makes predicting life and death a gamble, all due to the unique rules governing this underground city. Failure to adhere to these rules results in the elimination of all trespassers. At the brink of death, Cheng Xiaoyu's fate takes a dramatic turn as the system notification finally activates. Before this pivotal moment, the 17-member team that ventured into the temple suffered severe casualties. Attempting to outmaneuver the statues with speed, one man is obliterated by a laser, leaving behind only his feet. Yet, after his demise, the statues ceased their assault. Crushing them seemed as effortless as squashing ants. Cheng Xiaoyu recalls the first rule: worship the gods. The man's death inadvertently fulfills this decree. Despite Old Song's initial protest, Cheng Xiaoyu's resolve prompts him to stand, activating the statues without provoking an attack. He deduces that bowing in worship, indicated by keeping one's head below a certain height, appeases the statues. His gamble pays off. But their relief is short-lived as the statues burst into laughter. Cheng Xiaoyu understands survival hinges on obeying the rules. However, how to praise the gods, the second rule, remains a mystery. A man, claiming expertise in traditional folklore, kneels to extol the statues, yet they remain unappeased. Old Park makes a decisive move towards another statue and is rewarded with reincarnation in another world. Praise the gods resonates with Cheng Xiaoyu, who notices some statues holding musical instruments. He guides the survivors to seek refuge at these musical statues. When Old Song approaches one, it plays its instrument instead of attacking, suggesting that music might be a form of praise. However, only one person can stay under each statue, so they prioritize Xiao Shi's safety. To survive, Cheng Xiaoyu, despite his injuries, advances towards the music-playing statues. The moment the instruments harmonize, tranquility returns. Only then does Ching Xiaoyu realize he has lost his right leg. Xiaoxi administers treatment, but the severity of his injuries is evident as blood seeps from his face. Amidst the chaos, some blame Old Song for their predicament. Overlooking their own contributions to their dire situation, Ching Xiaoyu acknowledges an unfulfilled rule. As the statues raise their arms, an altar emerges, signaling the need for a sacrifice to prove their faith. Old Song steps forward, ready to assume this responsibility. However, their time is limited. The portal will fully open by tomorrow, and their mission to close it and prevent monsters from invading the real world becomes urgent. As everyone steps onto the altar, activating it and revealing blue flames, the stone door opens, but as the blue flames begin to fade, the statues mobilize once more, causing panic among the group. Ching Xiaoyu realizes the blue flames extinguish over time, and each escapee causes a red flame to die, gradually closing the stone door. Old Jean, tearfully grateful for Ching Xiaoyu's leadership, chooses to leave, driven by the desire to return to his family. Now only Ching Xiaoyu, Old Song, and Xiaoxi remain. Old Song contemplates self-sacrifice to save Ching Xiaoyu, but Xiaoxi, weakened from excessive magic use, loses the ability to move. Ching Xiaoyu insists Old Song take Xiaoxi and leave, entrusting him with his only magic stone and promising to reunite outside. Watching Old Song depart, Ching Xiaoyu contemplates the correctness of self-sacrifice amidst the mockery he faced. Despite his weakness, his determination has kept him alive, and he too has a family awaiting his return. Yet, the stark disparity in strength harshly pulls him back to reality, facing the relentless onslaught of the statues until the altar is drenched in his blood. As the final flame extinguishes, the system notification activates, marking the beginning of Ching Xiaoyu's journey to become the Shadow King. At the brink of death, the system pops up for Ching Xiaoyu, presenting a dire choice: reject its offer and his heart will stop in 2 seconds. Between death and survival, Ching Xiaoyu chooses the latter. Awakening in a hospital, he discovers his previously severed legs are intact, making the whole experience seem like a dream. Then, the room's door opens, and in walks an inspector from the Hunter Association. Ching Xiaoyu inquires about Old Song and Xiaoxi, learning Old Song lost an arm, greatly affecting his future work, and Xiaoxi is undergoing psychological therapy, her ability to continue as a hunter uncertain. Only 6 survive the ordeal, a rarity in their risky profession. Upon arrival, they found Ching Xiaoyu unconscious in the dungeon, with no statues in sight, leading to speculation about his second awakening. Hunter abilities are typically fixed at awakening, but a rare few experience a second awakening, surpassing their limits. The Oversight Department then tests Chang's magical power, which turns out to be disappointingly low, especially compared to the average hunter's score of 70, leading them to look at him disdainfully and leave. Ching Xiaoyu realizes that perhaps only he can see the system notifications, causing his sister to worry about his mental state after seeing his odd behavior. Relieved to see Ching Xiaoyu relatively unharmed, his sister leaves. The system then promises to assist his growth, issuing daily tasks like push-ups, sit-ups, and running, with the threat of punishment for non-compliance. Ching Xiaoyu initially chooses to ignore this, having just recovered. However, as time passes without completing the task, the system enacts its punishment, suddenly transporting him to a desert where he faces a giant centipede. Forced to run for 4 hours, Ching Xiaoyu barely escapes back to the hospital. From then on, he no longer dares to ignore the system, realizing it's not an illusion. Completing tasks rewards him with physical recovery and ability points, which can be used to enhance various attributes. His strength grows along with access to skills, an inventory, and random treasure boxes, which yield everyday items and a dungeon key. Motivated by his hospitalized mother and the ridicule from other hunters, Ching Xiaoyu commits to completing tasks and growing stronger. Following the system's guidance to a dungeon entrance, he faces unknown dangers but is determined to flee if necessary. Upon entering, the door seals behind him, and he encounters a girl, realizing he's in a different dimensional space, trapped until he defeats the ultimate boss or uses a return stone. Faced with the daunting task alone, Ching Xiaoyu encounters goblin attacks.
Ore, 強くなってる.
His guard drops, and a magic wolf attacks, breaking his dagger and proving to be much stronger than the goblins. Paralyzed by fear and unable to heal, Cheng Xiaoyu's situation looks grim as he faces the monster's assault, still haunted by the trauma from his encounter with the statues.